I just took a DNA test, and it turns out the chair right behind me at the reunion is going to be empty again. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I'm here to review part 2 of the reunion to season 8 of The Real Housewives who have the nerve to question somebody else's husband instead of their own of Potomac. So we start the second part of the reunion right where we left off with Mia letting us know that her current boyfriend, Liquid, he still thinks that he's the father of her and Gordon's son, but Mia says that she went through the IVF process, that she's pretty sure that this is Gordon's son. Allegedly, you know, because you never know with Mia, you never know when she's lying all the time. So you have to look at her like this when talking to her. Right, IVF. Yeah, sure. You know, you almost feel like Inspector Gadget talking to her and trying to solve a mystery, right? So then Ashley and Candace, they started whispering to each other. Candace is like, he has the same face. They have the same mouth, right? They start laughing at each other. If I was Candace, I would have whispered to her, why are you talking to me? Like, I don't even like you. You're sitting on the end of the couch for a reason, right? So then Karen, she was like, first of all, I don't want to talk about the kids right now because the kids are off limits. I feel like we should not be talking about the kids at all. So then Andy asked Mia about what's going on between her and Gordon, their separation. Mia, she's like,
when everything was going on between me and Gordon, you know, everybody reached out to me except Candace and Wendy.
And I mean, Mia, what exactly do you expect? Especially from Wendy. Candace, she starts laughing, and Candace, you're feeling very giggly for somebody who was so upset that Gizelle was laughing at you last week. But okay, she's like, Wendy, you take over. Wendy, she explained it perfectly. She was like, look, me and you are just now forming a friendship, especially after everything that happened last season. And Mia, you seem to forget that you threw a drink in Wendy's face. You swatted your purse at her. You tried to fight her physically. And now you just expect her to call you out of nowhere like, hey, are you doing okay? Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, yeah, you and Wendy are okay this season. You two have been talking and having fun together, but it takes baby steps to get to that level of friendship if it's possible, right? You're lucky that Wendy didn't call you like, haha, loser. That's what you get. But Wendy, she goes on to say, in the group chat that me, Candace, and Gordon are in, he called you everything but a child of God, and I never put it out there because I still have some type of level of love and respect for you, Mia. And Wendy is much better than me because I would have sent screenshots of the messages to the blogs, and I would have told them, make sure that when you post it, don't say that you got it from me. And then the second that they post it for the public to see, I would have been in the comments like, oh, who leaked our messages? But Candace, her excuse was, I was sleeping that Tuesday. I had to wash dishes. I had to perform drive back for the 100th time. I'm like, Candace, just say that you don't like her, that you don't care about the situation, and let's keep it moving. But she says that she felt uncomfortable. She didn't really feel like reaching out, and that was that. But I thought that her and Mia were at least cool. You know, cooler than her and Wendy, I guess. I guess not. Then Gizelle, of all people, she questions Mia if the real reason behind their separation is a financial one. Mia says, no, it was never about that. It's the way he was treating her. Which, okay, understandable, but at the same time, Mia, you're full of it. This whole relationship was based on him having all this money when you first met him at the strip club. You know, you seem to forget that you told us that you came out, you know, you were wearing your prom dress, you came out with a steak and lobster, the steak was medium rare, there was a baked potato next to the red lobster, you put it on the table, you were shaking your titties for him, next thing you know, he pulled out all this money, you saw cha-ching, and now we're here. And now that he doesn't have any money, you don't want to be with him, and that's okay, because sometimes that's the way it is in dating. You know, we start dating somebody, we find out that they have a little bit of money, so we start letting certain things go, right? Like, you know, so what if they don't brush their teeth every single day? They have money. So what if their balls are a little stinky? They have money. So what if they're hiding their phone from you every single day and change their passwords frequently? They have money, right? That's typically how it goes in dating, right? No? Yeah, me neither. You know, and then, you know, once you take the money aspect out of the relationship or out of the dating, you start looking at them like, ugh. Also, last week I wore a Wendy-inspired reunion look for my review. Does anybody want to take a guess on whose reunion look this is inspired by? The one and only Sesame Street fighter, Kiarna. Kiarna is at this reunion, but I believe that she comes out next week. And honestly, I feel the spirit of Kiarna consuming my body right now as I'm wearing this. I don't know, I just feel like I need to be on the lookout for a Sesame Street character, just in case they want to throw something at me, but they're not gonna hit me, that's for sure. So then they start talking about Gizelle's father and how she was with him to his very last breath. She starts tearing up and getting emotional. Karen starts holding her hand. I still look good. Ashley's not getting any money out of Michael. Meanwhile, Candace brings out the friend of the show, Napkiana. She pokes her eyes a couple of times and she starts crying. Andy asked her, "Why are you crying?" Andy, what kind of stupid ass question is that? We're talking about somebody losing a parent here. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if all of them started crying. So then Gizelle, she still finds it in her to yell out, "Oh yeah, of course she's crying," even when it's not about her. Like, Gizelle, you're literally talking about your father who's no longer here. You were just crying a second ago, and you still find it in you to throw out a shady comment like that towards Candace. Like, you see her obviously having some type of sympathy over you, especially after everything that you've done to her. Yet this is what you're saying? Like, so would you rather her have laughed at you the same way that you laughed at her last week? Like, would that have been better? Because obviously showing sympathy and emotion towards you, that's not gonna work. So if I was Candace, I would have just dried up my tears like, you know what? You're right. Fuck you and your situation. I'm just gonna sit here and look pretty. That's it. Because obviously there's just no winning with Gizelle when it comes to Candace. Like, Candace could literally just be sitting there. She could blink the wrong way and Gizelle is gonna have a problem with that. So then Candace tells Andy, "Andy, I do feel for her. I feel for Gizelle." And meanwhile, Gizelle, she doesn't even acknowledge her. She's just looking away like... So then Gizelle wants to address Wendy because she accused her of talking about her mom. And like I said before, I don't remember Gizelle ever speaking bad about her mom unless I missed the episode or I just forgot. But according to Wendy, Gizelle was on the phone with Pastor Holy Whore talking bad about her mom, so I guess it happened. But it's something about that second chair that Gizelle is sitting in that really lit a fire underneath her ass because all of a sudden now she's addressing Wendy. She's coming at Candace nonstop, and she has never done that before when she was the first chair. So I see what you're doing, Gizelle. You're trying to fight for your spot. Are you scared? Are you scared that you're not going to come back for next season with your best friend, Robyn? Andy then brings up how Candace and Wendy were supposedly making faces at Gizelle while she was talking about her daughter going to college in Florida. He then asked Karen, "Karen, what do you think about this whole subject with making faces?" Karen, she was just like, "We are all grown women within this group, Andy. I am not responsible over anybody's actions besides Karen Huger, the grand dame." So then Candace tells Gizelle, "You have weaponized your children against me and Wendy before." Gizelle, she's like, "What are you talking about?" And Gizelle, you did it to Wendy 2 seasons ago when you accused her of making faces back then to one of your daughters when she was walking by. Yet for some reason, production, they don't show that flashback. We don't see that footage when we know it's there. And I wonder why. Like I said before, I feel like production, they're not a fan of Candace or Wendy because when it comes to showing them in a bad light, oh, they have all the footage. Like, oh, we have this footage, this footage, this footage. But when they want to prove a point against Gizelle, all of a sudden it's, oh, we didn't film it. Yeah, I don't know. It's too much footage to go through. I don't get paid enough for that. Because Wendy tells Gizelle, I even congratulated you over your daughter's acceptance. But, obviously they never showed that. And Gizelle, she was just like, when? When did you ever do that? Obviously they had the footage. They would show that. No, they wouldn't, because this has been a pattern this whole season of only showing specific narratives and not the full story. So then they start talking about Gizelle's boyfriend, Jason. And at this point, that whole situation is an Airbnb. She pays when she needs him, and then when the time is done, she needs to pay again for the services. And I'm not even sure why he was a topic at the reunion when we literally just saw him for what, like 0.2, 0.1 seconds this whole entire season. And surprise, surprise, he cheated on Gizelle already. Well, at least that's what it looks like because he was kissing somebody. But Gizelle says that she doesn't have the capacity to care past her eyeballs, whatever that means. I'm like, you and Robyn have to get better standards. And then somebody asks Gizelle, "So are you seeing somebody new?" And I'm like, who is that speaking? Like, who just asked that question? Oh, it's Aneka. I completely forgot that she was at this reunion. I'm like, oh, hey, Aneka, how are you? She was sitting there just observing everything like, okay, when should I jump in? When should I jump in? Okay, they're talking about Jason. Okay, maybe, okay, here goes nothing. Oh, please get a champagne flute for next season. Gizelle, are you seeing somebody new? Like, she just couldn't wait to ask. And Gizelle was about to lie and say, "Oh no, it's all about me. I'm not seeing anybody," until Mia called her out and she was like,
yeah, she is seeing somebody.
Gizelle was just like, "Wow, Mia, really?" Okay, so yes, Aneka, I guess I am seeing somebody. Andy then asked Candace about her tour, and then he was like, oh, how big were the rooms that you were performing in? What is that supposed to mean, Andrew? So then he asked Robyn, do you think that Candace was trying to come for your job when she was tweeting about you and Juan constantly cheating on you behind your back for 100 times? Robyn was just like, well, I mean, I feel like she was being very critical about my situation. We were all being very critical about your situation. So then Candace was like, well, I feel like you're missing a timeline here that you haven't put out there. I remember on January 19th, we filmed the reunion at 8 o'clock in the morning. I believe it was a Friday morning. It was so nice outside. It was raining the night before. It was really sunny outside. The sky was blue. The sun was out. I remember I got breakfast that day with Chris. I remember I had a bagel, scrambled eggs, and a sausage. And then I went back to my room. I slept for a little, and then I got ready. I remember I almost tripped down the stairs because my dress was so long. Like, she was just giving all this specific detail. I'm like, how does she remember when exactly the reunion filmed a year ago? Like, I barely remember what happened last week. So then a couple of weeks after that, Candace comments on one of Robyn's pictures. She says, oh, long hair. Robyn, she replies, and she was like, oh, does this hair make me look like a white woman? Implying on the conversation that they had about colorism and their proximity to whiteness at the reunion. So she was trying to be petty, right? And then Robyn, she comes out with it, and we finally find out the real reason that there's animosity between them. She says that the conversation that they had at the reunion last season about colorism made her uncomfortable. And like I said last season, I am not black, so I cannot speak for how the black community deals with colorism. I can for the Latino community because unfortunately that's in our community as well. And I don't claim to know every single aspect of the topic, but I'm also not blind to see how colorism is affecting the show. And Robyn, you as a light-skinned person, for that to come out of your mouth that the topic alone of colorism makes you uncomfortable, how do you think it makes Candace and Wendy, two women of darker complexion, how do you think it makes them feel on a daily basis actually living it? So then Gizelle jumps in and she tells Candace, you called me and Robyn colorists when I'm a part of a black sorority. I went to a black college. I can talk about colorism as well. And the second that she started listing all of these things, all I heard in my head, even though it's not the same thing, was, oh, I can't be racist because I have black friends. Like, Gizelle, you do know that it's possible for you to be a part of a community and also be a colorist within that community as well, right? So then Wendy, she jumps in it and she said it perfectly. She said, if it was a black or white thing, it's like a white person being accused of being a racist, yet the white person is trying to figure out, why are you calling me racist? Instead of looking at it as, why am I being called a racist to begin with? And Karen was 2 seconds away from putting her foot in her mouth because she's like, well, I feel like this group of women right here, they're the best group on Bravo to talk about colorism. Wendy shut the whole thing down. She tells Karen, no, that's a lie. I don't believe in that. I don't think that this group is the right group because they don't have the range to talk about colorism. And clearly we saw it at the reunion last season. Candace tried to talk about it, and what happened? Everybody became clueless. Everybody became defensive. Gizelle and Robyn, the second that they hear anything to do with colorism, they become victims and they feel like you're attacking them instead of just sitting down and actually listening at the bigger picture. And it doesn't make it any better as Andy as the host, because Andy, you could just tell that he is over this. He does not want to hear about this anymore. He kept trying to rush the conversation and he just shut the whole thing down by saying, okay, everybody, we're just going to move on to the next topic. And that was that. So we didn't really get anywhere. So then we take a break and they go backstage with their husbands, or at least some of them do. Aneka, she is pissed off that she's not getting any camera time at this reunion. She's in her room just going off on her husband, Ike, and Mia. She's telling them, I can't believe this. I thought that the reunion was the time to talk. Nobody's letting me speak. I've been getting dragged all season long by everybody, by Wendy, and by Wendy. And I just can't believe this. Nobody's letting me talk. And I'm just looking at her like, who are you again? Like, Aneka, at this point, we're already, 2/3 into the reunion? If you're not a big portion of next week, then you blew it, and you have nobody to blame but yourself because you just sat there in your dress and that was it. You look cute though, so I'll give you that. Ike, her husband, he's trying to be supportive and he's like, look, babe, if you go out there and you try to explain something and somebody tries to overtalk you, just say, hey, I'm trying to talk here, let me talk. And then she shuts the whole thing down and she tells Ike, look, if you're not here to be supportive of me, just go wherever Juan Dixon is. I'm like, damn, she is pissed off. Like, he was being supportive. What do you mean? But that was the most iconic thing that Aneka has said all season, so I'll give her that. Even Mia was trying to coach her, and she was like,
If you don't go out there and say something, it's gonna look like you're out there watching a show.
and that's what it's been looking like so far, Aneka. So you better hope that they edit you in a good way for next week. So eventually they all come out with their husbands. We see an empty chair behind Ashley, behind Gizelle, and then Robyn. Oh, Robyn, let me look at the chair. Hold on. Yeah, it's collecting dust. I think it has a bunch of cobwebs on it too. Like, just so embarrassing knowing that your husband has no job, no basketball game, no nothing, and he still couldn't make it to the reunion. Like, Ashley, okay, that's understandable. Gizelle, that chair is always gonna be empty, but for you, like, you're literally married to this man, and even I have somebody at this reunion right behind me. Aw, hi babe. So handsome, so beautiful, but just so embarrassing. At this point, I would have had to fake like I had like diarrhea or something. I would have told Andy, I can't come out. I'm in the bathroom. I can't make it for this portion of the reunion. I'm just gonna go home. Or at least have a blow up doll. Like even Apollo showed up for Phaedra at the Married to Medicine reunion, yet Juan still couldn't show up. All the husbands, they look cute, they look nice, and then Chris looks like an angry Santa Claus. He is pissed off, he is red, and Andy, he asked him, so do you think that Robyn was in on this whole scheme that Todd set up to come at us with the bullshit? You know what, Andy, I have not talked about it since the reunion last season, and I honestly don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Like, you could think whatever you want, I don't care. Okay, Chris, relax, like you just got out here. So Andy asked him about the woman that put out there that they were having an affair and he was sending pictures to her. He claims that he had no idea who this woman was. He never sent pictures to her. And then Robyn Dixon had the nerve to speak up, and she was like, what about the pictures? What about the seat behind you? Like, Robyn, I know that you're not speaking on somebody's husband. Like, if you do not have anybody sitting behind you at this reunion, you don't get to speak on anybody's marriage. Like, she's literally questioning Chris more than she was questioning Juan. Like, that is crazy. Like, are you fucking Chris? Like, is there something that you need to tell us, Robyn? Like, I'm concerned now because she has all this heat for Chris, but for Juan is, he paid for the hotel, but they didn't do anything. The chair right behind you has been collecting dust for how many years? But you're so concerned about my husband supposedly sending pictures to somebody else. And for all we know, Juan Dixon, at this very moment that we're at this reunion, he could be taking a picture of his Dixon to send to somebody else. He's 2 seconds away from sending it. Like, let me type in this Canadian girl's number, let me hit send, and boom, now somebody else has pictures of Juan, yet you're questioning my husband instead of yours. Like, you literally cannot make this up. Like, Robyn, you and your Bob are just delusional. I do have one question for you, though. Do you ever wonder, like, who else is fucking your man? Your body like this. Like, Robyn, just a complete joke. But we move on from Robyn to Gizelle, another joke. They get into it because Candace thinks that Gizelle put this woman up to this, to lie on Chris, and honestly, I wouldn't put it past Gizelle. I don't think it's true, but I wouldn't put it past her. So that was that. They both disagreed to disagree, and that was that.
Also, why didn't Andy bring up to Chris how Gizelle was changing up her story saying, oh, he forced me, he made me, he did this? Like, he never brought any of that up, and he had Chris right in front of him.
Gordon, he speaks up, and he's like, look, I don't want to be disrespectful to Juan Dixon. No, I'm like, no, be disrespectful. Somebody has to, because obviously his current wife is not doing it. He's like, I don't want to be disrespectful, but, I showed up in support of my ex-wife. And I'm like, that is crazy. Mia literally was on the phone with her current boyfriend last week, and now her ex-husband, whatever he is, he's sitting right behind her. Like, what kind of magical pussy? Like, like, obviously my pussy's not doing something correctly, right? Like, imagine if she would have had both of them sitting right behind her. That would have been a Housewives history in the making. I don't think that we ever had a housewife with 2 men sitting right behind her. That would have been iconic, but, he's so dramatic, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that everybody here has speculated something between me and Mia, and I'm here to announce that, and that was it. But honestly, Gordon, if it's not something scandalous, nasty, dirty, and disgusting, I don't want to hear it. Unless you're going to say, me, Ink, and Mia, we're in a 3-way relationship, I don't want to hear it. You could keep it. you know, we shall see what his announcement is for next week. And yeah, let me know what you all thought about this whole second part. And what did you think about my Kiarna inspired look? Down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.